If you ever wanted to record and edit audio on a Mac, a Windows, or a Linux machine, there's lots of options out there, but a nice free software is OcenAudio. I actually don't know how to pronounce the word. It's OcenAudio.com. And when you go there, there is a download button, and it should automatically detect what system you need. But if you do need some other systems, you can click on other platforms and you can see all the different versions that are here available for download. So once you've downloaded and installed the software and you open it up, it should look something similar to this, no matter what platform you're on. And what we're going to do right now is I'm going to take you through step by step on how to record something, how to do some simple edits on it, how to export those, and hopefully from that you'll be able to do some editing on your own. So let's start off with how to record. So there's a big red record button here, and so as soon as you click on that, a box will come up and it will ask you what settings you want. So sample rate, channels, resolution. If you're just using this for like classwork, spoken word, that type of thing, all these settings are fine. If you were doing, say, you were doing music recording or something like that, you would want something a little bit different. So I'm just going to click OK, and once I start clicking OK, it'll actually start recording right away. And so you can see the wave patterns as they go by here. Now I'm going to show you, as you get closer to the microphone, it gets louder and gets bigger, and then as you get further away, the waveforms get smaller. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop that, and you'll see that I'm zoomed into one section. In fact, if you were to take a look at the bar along the top here, it's mostly blackish kind of thing, and then all of a sudden it gets lighter right here where the hand appears. That's the section we're seeing right now on the screen here. So we want to see the whole thing. Now you can just zoom in, zoom out using the little magnifying plus and minus on the top right here. But what I actually prefer is click the middle one that looks like a number 1 and it says zoom out full. And what that means is you get to see everything all in one section. So you can see here where I was talking normally, this section here, where I leaned into the mic, and where I leaned out, so I was further away from the microphone. So we're going to do some editing of that as we go, but let's do some simple things first off. Let's hear what it sounds like. So let's just press play here, and right away. It plays normally here. Patterns as they go by here. Now I'm going to show you. Now it's getting louder. Closer to the microphone, it gets louder and gets bigger, and then as you get now it's getting quieter. All right, so we have everything that we want there. Now I want to do some simple edits. So let's just do some basic thing. I want to take out a section. Okay, so I'm going to actually just take off this little silent bit right at the beginning here. So I just place my marker just by clicking anywhere in the screen, and you'll see that a white line appears. So if I click just before the first sound wave that you see there and then drag it back, it kind of goes light green. At that point here, you can use the tools along the top here, like the trash can, it will delete it, or you can use the keyboard. So I'm going to use the delete key, and voila, it's gone. Now let's say I want to actually do something different. I wanted to actually take a section and I want to copy and paste it somewhere else. So I can actually highlight a section, and now I can go up here and there is the copy button. I can copy that. I can insert that click by click, put the little line there, and then I'll hit paste, and it actually makes a copy of that there. I'm going to undo that by using the undo function. I don't want to actually have that. You can also cut and paste. So if you want to move things around, you can also do the same thing. You just highlight a section, and instead you hit the scissors, cut, and paste. So now it will not be over in that one section. It's been moved over to here. All right, so far so good. I'm going to undo that just so we have it back to where we were. Now, some of the other things we can also do is I wanted to adjust this loud section. It's too loud. So I'm going to highlight the loud section by just clicking and dragging over it. And now on this one button at the very end here, I can actually click on this and you'll get a little slider. And that slider allows you to make it louder and softer. And you can see where the normal was. There's a light green that's appearing there. That light green is where it normally was, and the darker kind of thing is showing up where, or the stronger, I guess is want to put it that way, is where we are now. So I'm going to put it there and hit apply, and you'll see that now it looks a little bit more like the other part. So let's do the same thing to the quiet section. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to hit that. If it's blue, it's ready to go. if you click on it again, it disappears. So I'm going to click on it, get it here. I'm going to boost it just a bit, not a lot. Hit apply. Okay, so now it's somewhat normal. And if I was to play that, as I go by here, you would notice that it's not as loud in that section, and the next section is a little louder than what it was before. And so, okay, so stop that. Good, so far so good. So now I have a new audio file. Now, what I do in my class is I'll actually take a longer section of listening and I'll break it up into smaller pieces. So, for example, if I'm wanting to have some students do some work on their own at home or whatever, I might chop up the audio into different pieces and then have questions after each section. So I'll have section 1, section 2, section 3. So I'm going to divide this up into 3 sections. So I need to mark where I want to divide it. So I'm going to put my marker here. And now what I'm going to do is, it's easiest through keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to use, on a Windows machine, I use Control and K. On a Mac, it would be the Command button and K. And so once I've done that, it says marker 1. I could leave it as marker 1. That's fine. For my sake, it really doesn't matter in this case. But if you did want to type in 1, I'm just going to change it just so you can see what I do. I just type and hit enter. It's renamed it. Okay, I'm going to go over to here. I'm going to put the second one, do the same thing, Control K or Command K. And all right, that looks good. Okay, so I've now divided it up into 3 sections. You can see these little dotted lines that appear that show where the sections are supposed to be. I can actually click and drag those around if I'm not quite where I want them to be. So say I wanted to move it there. Now, here's where it's really cool. This is much easier than most audio editing software. I can now actually divide them off into separate sections and even edit them after the fact if I wanted to. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to go under Edit, and I'm going to split audio at markers. And now here are my 3 sections on the left side. I can see the original at the top called Untitled Number 2, and then Part 1, Part File 2, Part File 3, because that's where I named them off, right? Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to save those as separate items. Now, for my students, they typically will use different devices. So they'll have iPhone or Android device or laptop or desktop or whatever, Windows, Mac. I want something that's consistent between them. So I'm going to save them as MP3 files. So I'm going to click on Save, and I'm going to go into Music here, and I'm going to leave it as Part 1. I don't have a really good name. I could rename it here at this point. But more, I'm going to hit the Save As type, and I'm going to choose MP3. You can see it right here. And I'm going to hit Save, and then I'm going to click on the little, again, there's a little yellow Save button in the second section. I click on that, and I'm going to do the same thing. Leave it as File 2, that's fine. Click on this one, leave it as File 3. Now you'll notice the yellow button is gone because it's been saved. I'm going to go back to my original, though. Now, my original, what if I want to keep that so I can do some editing later on? Well, if I save this as just a regular file, that's fine. But if I want to save it as an audio file, which I can listen to as a whole, I'm going to actually have to remove those markers first. So I'm going to click on each marker and then click the little plus or X to remove them. I want to remove those markers. Now I can save this. So I'm going to click on the Save button for this. But instead of MP3, because MP3 compresses so it loses quality, I'm going to actually try and keep something fairly high quality. So I'm going to go up to AAC, and I'm going to save it as AAC. That allows me to do some editing later on with it, and again, export as MP3. So there are my different files. They're now saved, and if I was actually to go into those, I could actually go in and play them and hear what they are like. So each section, of course, is slightly different. That was section 1, section 2, and then again, I could just do all of them, section 3, whatever, but you get the idea. So now I have those 3, I can upload them, and they're fairly small file sizes. If I was actually to take a look at the properties of those, you can see that this one here is 100 kilobytes, really tiny. So it's really good for students to be able to download. They don't have to use a bandwidth to be able to do that. So that is OcenAudio. There's actually a lot more to it than that, but I just wanted to give you a very broad overview, so hopefully you can get some work out of that. You can play around with that and see how that works for you. If you have any questions, you can let me know. You can go to my website, nathanhall.ca, click on Contact Me, and then you'll be able to send me a message from there, or you can comment below, and I will respond to that as well. If you like the videos, please subscribe, and that way you'll be notified whenever a new one comes up. So thank you very much. Have a good day.